let's try the fourth time here. Half ball hit, quarter tip of spin. And that is a perfect safety. Hey guys, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video tutorial session with the Apex Predator Billiards Club. My name is Apex Selenium. And in today's scenario video, we're going to be looking at a 10-ball situation as you see here presented on the table and as you can see in the top left hand side of the screen. Here we are on the 7. We have the 8 ball that has a very narrow lane to enter into the corner pocket. The 9 ball is also available, and of course the 10 ball is all the way down here. Now there are a couple of options that are available, both attacking options and also defensive options. I'll be sharing my views on this situation. I'll be showing you some variances and some things that you need to consider when trying to play either defense or offense. Let's get right into the video. But before you do so, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button below. Turn on your post notification bell. Consider dropping a like if the video is of any use to you. And of course, please share this out to your pool communities. Let's add some more power to our game. Alright guys, so let us examine the table for a moment before we get into making a quick decision as it relates to what we will do. There are some call out options that are instinctively hitting us as pool players. Depending on the kind of player you are, you have some players that are more aggressive and you have some players that are more defensive. For a defensive type of player, the safety that is calling out here is to perhaps bank the 7 ball off 1 or 2 rails and bring the cue ball to be hidden right behind the 8 and the 9. For a very attacking player, then you're thinking about perhaps pocketing the 7 either to the left, breaking out the 8, putting the 8 into a more open area, or cutting the 7 this way, going 2 rails or maybe 3 rails, entering into this zone here for a shot on the 8, or even to an extent cutting the 7 with some inside spin, coming off 1 rails and heading very close to the 8. Now there are different kind of players, and of course it all depends on your level of play. It depends on your knowledge that you have in the game and how well you can execute what you know. Of course, this video is just to highlight some stuff that you have to think about, and by just looking at these options, you can add more power to your game. And if a situation is presented like this to you in a game, you may be able to counteract your opponent and of course, show him your level of play. Now, let's get into executing some of these shots. I'm going to take you through some of the safety options first, because evidently you want to give yourself more chances at the table. But of course, I'm going to execute some of the attacking options and let you think about and show you some of the things that you need to think about before you attack or before you play defense. Let's get right into the video. Alright, so the first option that I'm going to share with you here is a defensive option. And this option of defense is of course a repeatable defensive option. Alright, what we're thinking about here is not perhaps leaving your opponent safe, but in fact just leaving your opponent tough and at least giving yourself one more chance at the table. Now when you play this defensive shot that I'm about to execute for you, your opponent might surprise you with a brilliant shot. I don't know, maybe a thin cut into the corner or a bank shot and maybe win the game. But at least you're giving yourself a chance, because if you attack and you miss, then perhaps you're going to sell out the game. But if you play defense and your opponent also plays another defense or attacks and miss, then at least you're giving yourself a chance to come back to the table. So here's the shot. What we're going to do here is just play this 7 ball here about 3/4 balls, all right, just off center. We're going to be banking the 7 and leaving the cue ball onto the short rail, very close to the short rail, and bringing the 7 all the way down here. Now your focus on this shot should evidently be to get the 7 to land on the short rail here. So you're playing object ball safety and you're not playing a cue ball safety. Let's execute this shot to see what it looks like. So first, as you see it here, just be careful of the scratch. You just want to bank the 7 ball all the way to the short rail here. So be aware of your speed control. and of course just focus on leaving the cue ball on the short rail. So here we go. So just off center, focus on the speed. If we can get this 7 ball on the short rail, we are going to leave our opponent really tough, just like you see here. Now, a lot of players might say at least your opponent has a shot on the 7. It's tough because of the position. So if they decide to attack, they're going to depending on a little bit of roll to get position back on the 8. And at the same time, even if they were able to get the shot into the intended pocket, position is not guaranteed unless there is some fortune. So this is an option that you can consider. It is very repeatable and it's a very good option to consider. So hopefully you like that one. Let's see if we can give it another try and try to get it a bit more here so that they do not have any cut options available on the 7. So we're going to bring our cue ball back here. And what we're going to try to do is try to keep it away from the corner pocket here. Try to keep it around the middle diamond here. So if you can use ball hit fraction to help you, that would be good. I'm thinking about just aiming the 7 here, just in front of the middle diamond, and just allowing the speed to take the object ball here. So let's execute this one more time. That was a little hard. The opponent has a shot on the 7. So we just have to be a little bit careful with our speed and our direction. Let's give it one more time. As I said before, this is a repeatable safety. You can just give it a try. It's really tough, but it's very doable. One last time, guys. Control our speed, control our direction. And there we go. So I personally know that I could get a bit tighter, keeping the 7 here, but speed control is essential. And at least here, now my opponent will have a decision to make, either to attack or to play another defense. So I'm giving myself a chance at the table. That's probably not the best safety option, but it is one to consider. Let's look at safety option number 2. So in safety option number 2, which is an extremely tough one, all right? And when I say tough, I mean in terms of cue ball direction. There's a couple of things that could go wrong here. And of course, it's the call out safety. It's the one where you try to play a cue ball safety by bringing the cue ball to wedge up behind the 9 and the 8 and just focusing on getting the 7 onto the side rail here. That's the primary focus. Now, as the table presented here, the 8 ball has a pocket. So you have to be careful of when you're playing the safety that if you are fortunate to get the cue ball behind the cluster, you do not want to nudge the 9 or the 8 to tie them up, because if you do get a safety, then you will not be able to run out. So you've just got to be careful of just trying to get the cue ball around to that section, but try not to make contact with the 8 or the 9. Now, another thing to consider is trying to get this 7 ball as low down here as possible. Maybe around the 2.5 diamonds to about the 3rd diamond here, so that in the event that you get it behind the cluster, your opponent might have a kick shot, one here, and perhaps return the safety. So there's a couple of things that you need to consider when playing this safety. It's not just getting the cue ball behind the cluster, but it's also considering that your opponent could have a strong kick game, and they could also get lucky. They could call 1, 2 rails, bank the 7 here, or it could just be one of their lucky days where they call a shot and it is made. So you want to make certain that when you're playing a safety, you're playing your safety to glue your opponent behind the cluster, taking away all kick options and definitely taking the rack from your opponent. Now, the 7 ball is a little bit off the center here. So where the 2nd diamond on the short rail and the 2nd diamond on the long rail intersects right here, the 7 ball is just off slightly. So for me here, I'm just going to be playing this 7 ball here, half ball, and I'm going to be using a 1/4 tip of spin just to get it to catch the 2nd rail here. Now if you use top spin only, you'll catch the 1st rail and you'll be depending on the speed, or hopefully you can wedge it up on the 9. But you definitely want to catch 2 rails here and get in behind the cluster. Let's try to see if we can execute the shot here to as perfect as possible. So that's using a bit of quarter tip of spin, half ball, control the speed, and let's see if we can land behind the cluster. So there you can see, my opponent is not left with a shot, or at least a makeable shot, an attacking shot, so they may have to play a safety. This, I can say, is a containment, but it's not a locked up safety. And this has to do with your table speed. This has to do with the speed of the shot. You just have to be just a tad more careful in terms of your direction. Let's see if we can actually play the shot one more time and try to execute the shot to perfection. Now I'm playing on a 9-foot table, so it's maybe a little bit easier on an 8-foot, but on a 9-foot, speed and direction is extremely important. Let's go. So here we go, half ball hit on the 7, quarter tip of spin, nice speed. I think I have it now, and I'm wedged up behind the 8 and the 9. I think I'm satisfied with this. Unfortunately though, I have moved the 8 into a position that is no longer pocketable. My opponent is safe, but I still am not going to get the out even if I get a ball in hand, or I'm even able to break out the 8 and the 9. I'm still going to have to do some more work. Now, just for this purpose of trying to make certain that after playing the safety and I'm fortunate to get a ball in hand, let's see if we can get that cue ball behind the 8 and the 9 without making contact with the 8 or the 9. Alright, let's try the 4th time here. Half ball hit, quarter tip of spin. And that is a perfect safety. Absolutely fantastic. Cue ball is wedged up behind the 9. My opponent is not completely wedged. My opponent has a kick rail option. But the good thing is that my opponent is snookered. The 8 ball is still open. In the event that they kick and I have a shot after the kick, I should be able to run the rack. Or if they kick and they do not make contact, then I can play the 7, get position on the 8, 9, and run the rack. I'm satisfied with this. It did take me a couple of tries, which goes to show that even though the safety is a call-out safety, it's not as easy, and on a given day, you literally have to be depending on good roll to get the safety tapped down. Alright, so that is option number 2, excellent safety. Let's see if we can actually look at option number 3, which is a more advanced safety option.
Take it to the next level.